Hello, everybody. Welcome to the One Nation of Gamers Summer Circuit in a Qualifier number 5. I'm Osmo, joined once again by Hotform and, of course, a dog that was barking outside. He loves Hearthstone esports too. So,
Yeah,
what'd you
of
think of that
course.
last match there, Hotform?
I mean that was good. I think that I liked Dart's lineup a little better in the end. I was really interested to see they both brought aggressive warlocks. I think that was like the big story for me was that neither of them was playing control warlock. They were both playing aggro, and then that has kind of a bad match against patron. Like it can win for sure, but we saw the patron if they have the cards that they need, it's just hopeless for the warlock, right? They have that combination of Deathbite, Inner Rage, Patron, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to take the board back. So really interesting to see that they both brought that. I think they must have a strategy in mind that they pick on other classes with it, maybe that are common, like the Rogue. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, this matchup, what's on the line for these players is $50 for the third place and $0 for fourth place. Fourth place does get a world championship point and some GEICO points, but playing through a whole qualifier yesterday and making to the broadcast today and going home with $0
Yeah.
is not the best feeling in the world. But um, we'll have to see. Just saying. We'll see what he's playing in a second, but I believe that was Paladin for Powder.
Yeah. Paladin versus Rogue.
Their
I haven't seen this
webcams
match
are.
played out as much as I probably should have. I think that the Paladin has a small advantage because Rogue normally needs to hold a lot of cards, but I'm actually not sure. Be interesting to see how it goes down.
Yeah. It looks like their webcams are flopped. Um, but ignore the faces. Just go for the words for now. Powder is the Paladin, and Just saying is the Golden Rogue. There we
Just
go.
saying, still picking Rogue first. I wonder if he picks Rogue first every time, or if he's just saying, I want to see this Rogue win a game. It's a good deck. I want to see it win a game and not be so frustrated.
I invested all of this money into these golden cards. I
And
want to see it win.
Rogue normally performs pretty well, so just
Yeah.
didn't work out for him in the last series.
Yeah, this is actually an amazing opener
Yeah.
for the rogue player, being able to not only clear the board but propagate four Violet Teachers. No, that's three because it was a backstab, a prep, and a fan of knives to fight for those against those small creatures that he knows aggro paladins go against. This is really nice. And Powder, point that cursor at the face, my friend.
Well, that's exactly what we know and love of the aggro paladin strategy.
Mhm.
Um, all these reactionary cards in Saiyin's hand don't really seem to matter much. He could, yeah, backstab his own guy. You want to get rid of cards anyways, right? So this is both getting rid of cards and dealing a lot of damage.
Yeah,
Backstab his own guy, gets the combo for oil, plays oil, hopes it doesn't hit an inactive one. Never lucky. It
yeah,
was
that's pretty rough.
2 of 5 to not work.
But judging by Powder's play, it doesn't seem like he has a way to deal with the four damage Violet Teacher or the four damage Apprentice. And as we can see, he completely ignores it. And he's going to go for the face. And this is actually a lot of damage. So 7, 8, 9, 10 plus 6 or plus 12. So that's 22 plus Eviscerate. That's lethal.
Wow.
Exact lethal? It is. I believe it's
Turn
exactly.
5. I mean, honestly, I don't think the Paladin strategy was quite going to work there anyways. He still needed to draw, he needed to live for a whole extra turn and draw a charge creature. But to see him die this early, really, there was just, that's like the suggestion to Powder, hey, there was no way you were going to win this one. Just pick the next match and let's see how that one goes.
Holy moly. Just Sans like, I can go face too.
That
And
was,
wow.
that has to be pretty much the best combination of cards, right? Unless the oil had hit the recruit, I don't think that there was a better way that could have gone for him.
Nope.
Teacher with 3 spawns on 3, and then oil with combo on 4 into flurry
Eviscerate.
eviscerate.
Yeah, don't think he can get much better than that. And just saying, oh, he gets the rogue out of the way. That was a
Yep.
very quick game one. That was like quicker than a hunter mirror, a face hunter mirror. That was turn
Yeah.
six.
It was turn 5, actually.
Oh, was it turn five?
Yeah, it was
Wow.
turn 5.
Even worse. Oh, yeah, it was because he had 5 mana. He had exactly enough mana to deadly eviscerate and blade flurry. Impressive.
Yeah,
Impressive.
so I mean, we see that Rogue is still definitely a strong pick, right? I bet Saiyans, wishing that he had that hand last series, but he gets it out of the way. I'm really excited to see the other two decks that he brought as well, because neither of them is a warrior, so he must have had a pretty good strategy in mind when he put this together.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm particularly excited for the mage. There's um, just such a huge variety of different mage decks right now that are being played competitively and on ladder.
Yep,
You look, there's freeze mage, there's echo mage, there's
yep.
the value mage that or grinder mage that Strifecrow and Savits love to play a lot. There's also tempo mage. There's still mech mage. There was a post about that one. Was it a Chinese player who got legend with a 1200 dust deck playing mech mage?
Cool.
So it's, I guess, still
And
viable
did
at
you
least on
forget
ladder.
the face mage with ice block and leper gnomes?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
face mage.
I've
There you
seen a lot of
go.
people on the European server playing that. It's yeah,
Yeah.
there are just an absolutely astounding number of combinations you can do with that class right now.
Mhm. Yeah, that face mage is only not popular in NA. It's popular in Asia and it's popular on EU. Just I guess nobody plays that on NA, or maybe it just hasn't gained traction. But not going to say yet. He's going to go for the shaman first, and it is a mech shaman, and it's not full golden because that is a normal coin.
Well spotted. The rest of the cards are golden in his hand, but every card in the deck needs to be golden, and then you get a golden coin.
Can't fool me. Just saying. Just saying.
Oh man, Asimo. Um,
Oh jeez.
the the inner rages are not amazing here.
Mm-mm.
He can use the one to kill the mech warper actually, which works out pretty well. Oh, that's really smart to attack the armor smith because then it just trades off.
Yeah. All of a sudden the hand just got a whole lot better
Yes,
because
all this it did.
he's got
Certainly
the
did.
combo: Deathbite on 4 and the Patron Inner Rage on 5.
The mech shaman pretty much never has any area of effect damage, so it'll be up to Just Saying to stop this with actual creatures. He can develop the board before this point, especially the Anoitron will stop that Deathbite attack, which is huge. Uh, and so he needs to have enough stuff ready when the patrons come out to kill every patron.
Yeah, it might seem like unintuitive
Whoa.
to not play Power Mace when you have two of them. But like you said, it's like blocking the Deathbite hit is really important.
Wow. So he can set up a later patron one turn later with the whirlwind, and this will give him 6 patrons instead of 4. Which that's at the point against a mech shaman, that's completely unremovable. 6 creatures. There's no way you have that many attacks. This will remove the shield from the Anoitron. Um, I guess maybe he was hoping that the cog had to trade into it, and then he would actually stop damage. But he's kind of playing with his health total here to be an extra turn greedy.
I would just say and not invest in Golden Cog Masters. The rest of his deck is golden. He got Golden Power Maces. Why are you gonna get Golden Power Maces but not Golden Cog Masters?
You're right. That is because Cogmaster is a common card, I'm pretty sure, so
Yeah.
it's very inexpensive to craft.
Mhm. Ah, well, I guess that's a mystery for a later day. Yeah, he's gonna take a Powder's gonna take a lot of damage, but he's
Yeah.
gonna put a ton of patrons on the board. 6 patrons, I believe he has the potential to make this turn, and he can clear the board except for the Shredder, but he'd be
So
dead next turn.
yeah, he is. He's dead next turn to the Power Mace. Rockbiter Crackle is 6 mana, and that will do 9 damage. And he's only going to have 10 health, and they'll still be the Shredder. So
Yeah.
playing that extra turn greedy with the Death Bite in the end did not pay off. It let Saiyan set up the Power Mace, and that one turn, it might have looked like you had one turn when you're at 33 health, but all of a sudden you didn't have that one turn. Oh, actually, this is a really smart play. He still needs 1 damage from the Shredder, otherwise the Crackle have only 75% chance to kill him, so Sadly, there is one damage from explosive sheep, so it would guarantee lethal anyways.
Yeah. That's assuming Crackle only hits for 3.
You could see that he realized at that point, I don't want that many patrons. I just want to not take damage here. So that was a better play than spawning 6, but did
Yeah.
not matter in the end.
Yeah. And we'll see what Crackle rolls for. And it actually
Oh,
did roll
wow.
for 3. So if that was
Oh,
something like a
man.
Pagel or a Lore Walker Cho or
Vitality
um,
totem, light well.
Vitality Totem, yeah, Lightwell, yeah, then he would not have had enough damage. He would have had Power Mace again the next turn, but that could have given. I don't even know. I think he still would have just been dead. But just saying takes a quick 2-0 lead in the series, and we are going to get to see this mage deck. So I'm curious to see what Just Saying brought in to this tournament.
The Mech Shaman seems like a pretty popular pick. I think I'm going to have to be playing that some more on ladder to try it out. It does have some good elements of strategy to it when you're board controlling with the creatures early on, and then you have to decide when enough creatures is enough and make the commitment for face.
Well, buckle up here, hot form,
Oh boy, we got a duplicate in hand. So
because probably going to be a long one. This is either Echo Mage or some type of Grinder Mage or Value Mage versus Patron Warrior. Usually this game goes to fatigue. Usually this
boy,
matchup goes to fatigue.
yeah, this one get comfy, guys. Would have been nice if Powder had picked something a little more merciful for this match. Maybe the Aggro
Aggro
Paladin.
Paladin, yeah. And imagine if Powder wins 2 in a row. We get to see this mage 3 times. It's not as bad as Fatigue Mage. I remember the meta where pretty much every lineup was playing Fatigue Mage.
Yeah, with the Death Lords. I remember
Yeah.
that too. That seemed
Um,
to just die off without like a good reason.
yeah, I remember there being a reason, but I forgot what the reason was.
I honestly think it's because these decks are really hard to play, right? People don't give enough credit to the difficulty of some of these decks that go through the
Yeah,
entire 30 cards, but that, even pro players are going to make mistakes a lot. And when you're in a tournament setting, when you're playing a deck like this, you don't want to be making a single mistake. You want to bring a deck you can play every turn to the maximum. So you're taking a risk and you're saying, like, I can do this higher level strategy, or you can take a safe pick like a more aggressive deck that you know well
yeah,
through and through, like a mid-range hunter.
that's a really good point. And how do you practice the deck? You bring it on ladder. And when you're
Yep.
playing hour-long ladder games
Yeah.
with Fatigue Mage, you sit down for a 6-hour session, you only get like 7 or 8 games of practice in. Then you're
Just
saying, well, what's the point of learning this deck?
just as a player too, I feel like there's a human element to it where when you play such a long game and you lose, you don't want to play it again. Even if, your chances were good and the odds were in your favor, it's much easier to play a fast game, lose and say, "Okay, I lost, let's get the next one." You play something really long, go all the way to the end and you had 2 damage, too much, and it killed you. Boy, you just don't really want to do that again.
Yeah. So this, wow, an unstable goal. That's interesting.
This game's getting really crazy already. He just polymorphed an Acolyte of Pain.
Yeah. Well, the only other polymorph target you really have against Patron Warriors, Emperor Thorsan. Um,
Okay.
if this is Echo Mage, which I don't think it is, because in Echo Mage you don't really have room for Unstable Ghoul plus 2 Acolytes of Pains. Um, uh, then this Echo Mage is actually a really big counter to Patron Warrior, just
Yep.
because you can't kill them once they put up a wall, and you have to use so many resources just to get them to pop their block anyway,
Yeah,
and then you
Ice
never get
Block.
past the second block.
Ice Block itself is like the stopper for all these really crazy strategies when Patron Warrior does 40 damage, but you can't die that turn. So then you get to do more stuff, and any other class would have just died. But
Mhm.
Ice Block's that one card that you can have up and say, "I'm safe, I can be greedy," and your opponent knows that as well, and they know you're going to be greedy, but they can't really punish you for it.
Yeah, I mean this deck probably is really good against Patron as well. I'm not don't know enough about it, but it's got a lot of stall tools. It runs the same sort of annoying like blockers, like Ice Block, but it also has Flame Strikes, which are fantastic. It's got Heal Bot, which is fantastic, it's got Sylvanas plus duplicate. What do you
Yeah.
what do you
But yeah,
do?
this situation right here is probably one of the ultimates, right? What can you do here? You just ignore Sylvanas, and I don't know. If you ignore Sylvanas and you assume it's duplicated at this point because you've hit him in the face and it was an ice barrier. So you ignore it. He can't use it to die. He has to make sure it dies on your turn to get the duplicate. So he probably won't kill it himself. Uh,
Yeah.
and he can't play any other creature because if you play something else, you can force that to be duplicated. But you still have to have the Sylvanas on the board attacking your stuff. And
Yeah. And so this is kind of funny because what Just Saying is going to be able to do is steal a patron, flame strike, then play Unstable Ghoul and make his own patrons. No, that's way too silly. He's just going to flame strike and not steal a patron.
if he
But it could
stole
have
a
been interesting.
patron, he could have got the patron duplicated, which would be pretty good against a patron warrior.
Yeah, it's true.
One of the most difficult things to remove is other patrons because you have whirlwind effects and it's going to proc the patrons for your opponent.
Well, Powder can actually set up a block pop next turn.
Hmm.
He's got him low enough. He's ignored this Sylvanas for long enough, but the duplicate is still there, so it's going to be pretty problematic. And Just Saying actually has Healbot plus Alex Straza still left remaining. Um, so those two things are going to be really tough as well. Now, one opportunity here is he could proc the duplicate with the...
Oh,
Ooh.
wow. Yeah. Okay. A lot of stuff happened there. He played
Yeah.
the Acolyte, so there's a possible duplicate on the Acolyte. He's Frostbolt. I thought he was going to Frostbolt his own Acolyte, actually, to prevent that, but he Frostbolted the Warrior, so that the Warrior cannot kill him this turn. If the warrior uses the two whirlwinds with the frothing, it will kill the Sylvanas, meaning the Sylvanas will steal something, and maybe it'll steal the frothing before it attacks. It's a pretty complicated match.
This is a really interesting... Yeah, it's a really interesting match. It's super intuitive.
And of course,
Um,
both players don't know what the other guy has, right? You don't know if he has Alex Straza. You're trying to gamble and say, does he have it? What are my chances? Tough.
And Just Saying actually runs burn. So a lot of times this deck just doesn't run fireballs. Like its win condition is just outvaluing. And
Yep.
I'm really curious to see that there's actually a fireball in this deck. So I guess it's sort of a secondary win condition, or it might just be used as removal. It might just strictly be in the deck for a way to remove things off the board. But this is tough. Now he's got to deal with an Emperor as well.
Yeah, this is I mean, you can go for the pop and then risk the steal. Even if he goes for the pop, he still loses because there's an Alex Straza there.
Yeah, he can Whirlwind first, then play Warsong Commander, Frothing Berserker, Unstable Ghoul. So wouldn't steal anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Slam might even be better because Slam actually represents less damage over the course of, like, the Whirlwind. He can... Does he appreciate the damage from the Whirlwind more than the card draw from the Slam? And I think he does. So he can still pop the block here, but then he's, like, out of resources, nearly.
Yeah. Can he squeeze the Battle Rage in? No, it
Yeah, he
doesn't
can.
look like.
No, he can't. Because it wouldn't be enough damage with just Whirlwind, one Whirlwind effect. He would need both.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he'll go for it, and the mage will actually still have 10 health left, so I'm not even sure if you bother Alex Strazaing. You might just use the heal bot instead.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And we have to start. And wow, he draws in a second ice block, which I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but since there's no cards left and he's going to be able to handle the board here, but it's still going to give him that little bit of extra peace of mind.
Well, I have to feel like most of the decisions here are going to be up to Saiyan from this point on. Powder's made his play. Saiyan's the one with the job to make sure that everything works out smoothly. I think, barring a mistake, that he should be able to take the game.
Yeah. He's got Rag. He can actually just set up to... Ooh, he doesn't even heal bot. I guess he's waiting till he's... I don't
So,
know.
what would you point this deck as? This is just like a duplicate control mage value deck. There's no Molten Giants that we've seen. Just a lot of normal creatures and defensive things.
Value Mage, I suppose, seems like a reasonable
Yeah. And
label.
no Doomsayers, no freeze effects. I would have loved to
Anti...
see the deck list gets posted for this stuff eventually, so I'll make sure to check this one out. But if he has no
Anti-Patron
Doomsayers,
Mage.
like Doomsayer is pretty much an auto include in any ice block deck, and then you have to put Frost Nova. We didn't see any parts of that, so really
Nope.
cool deck. Takes the series 3-0.
Yeah, and that was just a slaughter.
Yeah, that
I'm just
was
saying. Powder it just didn't feel like his decks lined up.
no.
A couple of the matches, it just never felt like he had much of a chance. In the first match, he tried, he smorked as hard as he could, mustered every bit of face damage he could possibly
Oh,
get,
it
and
was
he still
the
got
first one.
outfaced.
The first one was the Rogue, right? They killed him on
Rogue versus
turn 5.
Paladin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was yeah, I think saying his decks just didn't line up there is a good way to put it. I don't think he made any horrendous mistakes. You know, there were a lot of decisions when he was playing Patron Warrior, for example, that you could do differently, but didn't seem like anything was obviously wrong. It just was not going his way.
Nope. So that means Just Saying is going to not go away empty-handed. He'll get $50 plus one Hearthstone World Championship point and 7 GEICO points. Powder unfortunately doesn't win money, but he can definitely be proud of his performance. He made it to the top 4 of a really big qualifier with, I believe, over 250 participants. He'll still go home with 5 GEICO points, so if he places, which he actually already has placed highly in a couple other qualifiers, he'll definitely be a front runner for being invited to either feature or to packs based off GEICO points. So definitely look out for him. We are going to go to a quick break before we jump into the finals between Dart and Nostum. Make sure you guys head over to geico.onog.gg during the break to enter in to win your official TSM PC and get your GEICO quote. You can also read up on the schedule for the remainder of the tournament, as well as read up on how the GEICO point system actually works. But the finals will return right after a couple minute break, so don't go anywhere, guys. The conclusion to NA qualifier number 5 will continue right after this break.